Okay, as I'm reading question number 42 off of the final exam review sheet, first thing I'm noticing is that what we have here is an expression, not an equation. The expression is 3x squared minus 17x plus 10. I want you to learn that that's called an expression, that's not an equation. You're not solving it. You solve equations. With expressions, you do other things. You pay attention to the directions. The directions here say factor this expression. Factor means to write it as a multiplication problem. Factor, turn something into a multiplication problem. So, let's go to my paper. Come on with me, and let's look at the expression. Here we are. The expression is 3x squared minus 17x plus 10. When you're factoring any expression, the first thing you look for is a greatest common factor. And in this particular problem, the greatest common factor is a 1, but that's really not very helpful, is it? So what we try to look at next is we try to pay attention to the fact that this is a trinomial. And a lot of trinomials started off as the product of two binomials. A lot of you in the past have been taught to call this the method of factoring by trial and error. One thing I want to point out to you, even though this is called trial and error, it's really not random. There's a lot more to it than just trial and error. I want you to notice something. If the last sign of the trinomial is a plus, that means that these two signs are going to be the same as each other, and they're also going to be the same as the middle. So we automatically know to put two minuses here. Now, the front two terms multiply together to give me 3x squared, and the back two terms multiply together to give me, these two terms multiply together to give me a positive 10. Two negatives are going to be used to do that. If I put a 3x and an x in the first position, what I have to do is try to come up with combinations that will work. And what I mean by work, when you multiply this back out again, it needs to give you what you started with. And the way this is going to work is if we put a 5 in this position and a 2 in this position, truly being a negative 2 and a negative 5, look what happens. 3x times x gives me 3x squared, so we have the front. Negative 2 times negative 5 gives me a positive 10, so we have the back. This is how we make sure we have the middle. We do the outer product and we do the inner product. The outer product gives me negative 15x. The inner product gives me negative 2x. When I collect these, it becomes negative 17x, which lets me know that I'm cooking with gas because I have the correct middle term. So this is the correct factorization of my expression. Now, first question, how many linear factors are there? Well, remember what linear means. Linear means degree 1. 3x minus 2 has degree 1 because the x is raised to the first power. X minus 5 also is degree 1 because x is raised to the first power. It's the highest power. How many linear factors are there? Well, there are 2. Three x minus 2 is one factor. X minus 5 is the other. So you have a total of 2 linear factors. And of course, if I asked you to write them out separately, 3x minus 2 would be one of the linear factors. X minus 5 would be the other linear factor. So in this case, you have 2 linear factors. Here's one of them, and here's the other. Remember, let me turn it back around to me. The only way you can really get good with factoring is by practicing. The more time you spend practicing the factoring techniques, the quicker you're going to get. So again, the amount of homework you've put in, the amount of textbook homework, online homework, studying for tests, doing quizzes with factoring, really going to help you get better and better at it and quicker at it, because one of the things with factoring that's important in future courses is not just that you can eventually factor, but that you can factor with relatively good speed.